What's up, everybody? Welcome to what I'm going to call episode 0 of the Night Ride Home podcast. This is really my first time being in front of a mic since the last episode of Here We Are, which is probably early 2021, if I had to guess. So this is 2 years later. 2 years later, I finally had an idea that I felt comfortable with. And the main thing that's been keeping us from doing another podcast is time. Uh, Really, the main thing was I just never had the time to sit in front of a desk, pull up a microphone, line out guests, and do all that fun stuff. So, fast forward to now, not now, a few months ago, my friend Leo and I were talking about a DLC for Resident Evil 8 that came out, the Shadows of Rose DLC. And he's like, hey, why don't we hop on a Discord call and we're going to talk about this DLC and we'll go from there. And I was like, cool, that sounds like a good idea. So we did that. We got on a Discord call. We talked about Resident Evil for a little bit. And then it hit me. The one thing that I have is time to and from work, to and from, my night classes, to and from my church gig. Those are 30 to 40 minute stretches of time that I am just doing not anything. I'm not doing anything. Oh, good heavens! There's a car in front of me. The trunk's bobbing up and down. That's dangerous. Anyway, so I figured out that if you go through Anchor, I can pop in my AirPods and record a podcast while I'm driving, and you don't have to worry about it because I'm 10 and 2 over here. Not really. I'm on like a 9, and my other hand is on the gear shift. So I popped in the AirPods, I turned on the Anchor app, and boom, we're good to go. We got a podcast going. And after we did a few tests with it. I did a test episode with Leo, who I doubt we're going to use that episode just because of how there were some kinks. There were some kinks to work out, and there's some things I'm learning. But basically, this show is going to be kind of a I guess you could call it a variety show where we're going to talk about music, we're going to talk about movies, we're going to talk about games, we're going to talk about TV shows. So far, we have a few different episodes in the works. Uh, there's going to be music reviews where tomorrow, actually, this is going to the recording. Dirk Bentley has a new album coming out. I'm a big fan of Dirk Bentley, so I'm going to listen to the album and I'm going to talk about the songs, give my opinions on some of those songs. And the cool thing about Anchor is that I think they're owned by Spotify. They partner with Spotify, and something like that. But I can take like the single off the album is called Gold. I can, if I wanted to, I could talk about that song and then be like, oh, and here's Gold, and then I can stitch that song in here with. I think it all those episodes have to be exclusive to Spotify. But hey, that's content right there. As far as games go, Leo and I have an episode planned for Resident Evil 4 Remake when that comes out. I'm talking to some other people about doing a review for Hogwarts Legacy whenever we're done with that. And then for TV, I'm talking about doing a review of the Last of Us TV show whenever that's wrapped. So there's a lot of things that we're talking about getting put in the can, save for later, and we're just gonna go like that. It's gonna be really freeform, easy listening podcast. You can just put it on your ride home the next day, and probably gonna be a weekly release, maybe bi-weekly. I haven't really bi-weekly is bi-weekly. I don't know. Once a week, maybe twice a week. That's what I mean. I didn't. So that's gonna be the plan. That's the what the podcasts are gonna be for the most part. It's gonna be talking about games, gonna be talking about movies, etc., etc., etc. So if you like that, go ahead and hit subscribe on any podcast app that you're listening to. I think it's gonna be on all of them. I think we're gonna figure that out in just a little bit. This episode is gonna be published way before anybody knows about it because I'm gonna publish it to see how it works and testing audio quality, all that fun stuff. And then whenever we're ready to launch, I'll have episode 1. So when this podcast that goes live, there's a Facebook page, I make the posts, all that fun stuff. There should be an episode 0 and there should be an episode 1. It should be on all podcast platforms, but I think the episodes where we talk about music and we have music in the show, I think those are going to be exclusive to Spotify. I think that's how that works. Again, we're just going with the flow here, and that's how this podcast is going to be. It's not going to be a podcast where the sound quality is, 100% godlike studio quality. Uh, when we did Here We Are, we were really trying to find ways to get our sound to be better and better and better and better. That's not going to be this podcast. This is going to be, you're getting AirPods from me. You're getting AirPod speakers from me. You're going to get whatever the guests I bring on have. So they're probably going to be using headsets. They're going to be using their phones, stuff like that. So just turn your brain off, and we're going to, don't worry about the sound. Just don't worry about it. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to ramble and go, I'm going to say a lot probably. Yeah, see, I did it right there. I think that about covers what this podcast is going to be. This is the part where I should say what episode 1 is going to be, but I don't know yet. So if you're listening to this, go ahead and subscribe, and then click on over to episode 1 and see whatever I did. Thanks, and we'll see you in episode 1. What's up, everybody? Doug here with the Night Ride Home podcast, and we did it. I didn't plan on launching everything today. I just kind of planned on having kind of like a soft launch where I was going to have episode 0 up and just go from there and just kind of take it slow. But I had everything uploaded. I had the Facebook page made. I had gotten all the podcast services set up. And I figured, why not? Let's just start getting people in the door. Let's get people subscribed to this thing, and that's what happened. We're live now on, I think, everything except for Google Playlists. What am I saying? Google Podcasts. I don't think we're live on that one yet. They said they're going to send me an email whenever it was live on that service. So I guess we're just waiting on that. So right off the top of the episode here, I'm going to say that this particular episode, and really anytime we do music reviews and stuff like that, we'll get to this in a minute, the music review episodes are going to be best on Spotify, because the way Anchor works is they have a tool where you can take music out of Spotify and put them into your podcast, but the only downside is that you can only listen to that episode on Spotify. And you're thinking, well, Doug, if it's on Spotify, how am I listening to it right now on Apple Podcast or on Stitcher or on Overcast or whatever podcasting you use? Because I'm doing this in 2 different formats. This episode, and it's how it is with no music, is going to be the one that goes live on all the other platforms. I mean, the thing is, it's even going to be on Spotify, just because it's what you're going to see if you're listening on Spotify is you're going to see that there's an episode that will be marked as the episode that has the music in it. I don't know what exactly it's going to say yet, because I'm not going to be able to see it until I actually get to the the upload process and doing all this all this nonsense. So if you're listening on anything but Spotify, this is just you're going to hear me talk about the new Dierks Bentley album, but there's not going to be any music, which is, I mean, if you just want to hear my voice, I mean, that's fine. So, but if you are listening on Spotify, when we get into the actual review process, I'm going to pick a few songs off the album, and I'm going to talk a little bit about each song. We're going to get into it. If you are a regular non-paid Spotify listener, you're only going to hear, I think it's about 30 seconds of the song. But if you are a Spotify premium member, you're going to hear the full song. So that's all you know about that. But before we get into it, just one more thing I want to say. I just wanted to get all that Spotify stuff out before we get too deep. We do have a Facebook page live now for the podcast. If you haven't done so yet, it'll be really great if you could go and you can like the page. If you could follow us on your podcast app of choice. I would prefer Spotify. Listen to it wherever you want. But if you listen to us on Spotify, if we get 100 listeners within a 60-day period, then we get access to basically Anchor starts to sponsor the podcast, we get a little bit of money, and yeah, that would be great. But yeah, any podcast app you're listening to us through, if you could follow us on there, like the Facebook page. We don't have Instagram or Twitter because I did that once before and it didn't really. You can just follow me on Twitter and on Instagram and on Facebook, and that'll be everything you need to know. I think that's all we need to talk about. Yeah, okay, so we're just gonna get into it. So today, February 24th, Dierks Bentley put out his 10th album. It's called Gravel and Gold. And I honestly, my expectations for this were not low. It wasn't low, but just the last few projects haven't hit me. He had the Hot Country Nights project. I want to say it was from last year, or maybe the year before that, where he had the whole alter ego thing going on. It was a bunch of funny, basically a satirical 90s country album. It was really good. But again, not when you think of what you want from a Dierks Bentley record, it wasn't what I wanted. I would have much preferred an actual studio album, but it's great that we got that. And the two albums that we had before weren't bad. They weren't bad albums. There were some good stuff on there. But again, they didn't blow me away in what I want a Dierks Bentley album. It didn't do what I want a Dierks Bentley album to do. And I really got into Dierks Bentley's music with the Up on the Ridge album, and then right after that we had I want to say the album after that was Home, and those two albums really got me in the door, and I started to listen to his earlier stuff, and I've listened to every album that's come out since. I want to say that Dierks Bentley, I have seen him the most. The second most. Okay, I've seen Eric Church the most times in concert, but Dierks Bentley is like a close second. And I've always been a big fan of his shows, and so I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a big Dierks Bentley fan. So coming into this album, I got in my car this morning, I put on the album, and first song in, I was like, okay, I think we're good with this album. I think this is going to be the first one since like 2014 that, Rise was 2014, that really just blows the doors off. And this album is so good that when it came time I listened to it twice today, 2.5. I would say 2.5 times, because I listened to the songs that we're going to play in a little bit a few times, just so I can kind of get somewhat of a dialogue to kind of introduce them. So about 2.5 times I listened to this album today. It's so good that I had trouble picking 5 out of the 14 songs to talk about. I had to literally sit here and think which songs just really, really, really grabbed my attention. And this first one that we're going to start off with here is a song that I don't think that we get. It's not that we don't get enough of these, it's that it's not done well most of the time. It's a song called Not All Bad. Not All Bad? Not All Bad? I think that's it. Hold on. Yeah, Not All Bad. So it's a song that basically is about the silver linings in a breakup, And we get the songs like, oh yeah, we broke up and I went to the honky tonk, but this isn't that. I mean, it's got some of that in there, but it's not just about the getting drunk aspect of a breakup. I went through a divorce a few years ago, and I mean, really any breakup I've ever been in, it sucks. It sucks. I think we can all agree that breakups suck. But in every one of them, there was kind of a silver lining that you can find, like the divorce from a few years ago. I didn't have a lot of time for then, but then after the split happens, you've got just nothing but free time, most of the time, but just a lot of free time where, I mean, you're living on your own. So, I mean, you get home and what do? You've got you can do whatever you want to do. And I think that this song is really good at highlighting those, just those silver linings where, yeah, it sucks, your heart's broken. But there's also a good side of it too. Oh no. I hope that cop is a cool dude. I hope he's a cool dude. I was going just a little bit too fast. Just a little bit too fast. He's not coming, so we're good. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and we're just gonna get into the song here. It's called Not All. Wait, hold on. I don't want to mess this up. You know, but it's not all bad. Something like that. Not all bad or ain't all bad. Well, I'll look at it after we pause here for a second. Here's the song. All right, everybody, that was Ain't All Bad. I checked. I waited until I was at a red light, and I pulled up Spotify, and it's Ain't All Bad. So, any record just of me saying the other name, just take that out of your mind. It wasn't real. Anyway, so we're gonna get back into the music talk in just a minute here, but the fun part about doing this in a car setting, as I'm driving home, is that sometimes you'll get the point where I was just talking, I was not super paying attention, and I was going 75 and a 60, and I passed a cop, and I had to look, and I was like, you're gonna be cool, or you're gonna be a jerk. You're gonna be a jerk, you're gonna be cool. And he decided to let me go, and I already have a ticket. I have a ticket, but they won't put it in the system. I call them, and they say, yeah, it's going to be put in the system, but when's it going to be put in the system, Anyway, that's enough about my tickets. So that was Ain't All Bad, like I said, and out of all the songs on there are fun songs on this album, but that was really the one where I was like, this album slaps. I don't know if you heard the slap. I smacked the steering wheel. But yeah, it's just one of those songs that every time it comes on I threw this entire album into my rotation, into my usual playlist, and this is going to be one that just really get your gears grinding. No, not gears grinding. Get your blood pumping. That's the phrase I was looking for. So next up on here is a song that's fairly early in the album, and I want to say it's track 4. But until you get to this song, there's not really a slow one, There's a song right before it called Tour of Heartbreak, Drinking Heartbreak Tour, something like that. Again, that's a great song. I wanted to put it on here, but I have to pick 5. I don't have to pick 5, but I choose to. But this is a song where everything starts to, it's very stripped back, and it's talking about, going to find a place of, clarity, and a place of, just a happy place, I'll say. He's going to your happy place. And on a day like today, when, we had a lot of work going on, we had a lot of stuff going on, and this song is just, not only did the lyrics of it really resonate with me today, but just you gotta listen to it. You just gotta listen to it. Once you listen to it, you'll understand, and you'll think, Doug, you're right, Doug, that was a great song. So here, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna listen to Still. All right, everybody, that was Still. Again, what an album. And we're gonna talk about this a little bit later. It's not necessarily that there aren't any songs about getting out of the noise of everyday life. And it's not even the only song that Dierks Bentley's done about that specific issue, but it's just how it sounds. It sounds so good, and that's gonna come back later because not the song we're about to play, but there's another song called Old Pickup. Might be called Old Pickup Truck. I really need notes, but at the same time, that's the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away with this podcast, because sure, I've got the time to just ramble and talk about things, but also I don't have notes. and I can't, like, it's dangerous. I can't just pick up my phone and look at I can't pull up Spotify. That's dangerous. And if sorry, I saw again, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. There's a truck that just passed me that looks like it's definitely not road safe. But anyway, we're gonna skedaddle past this. But a lot of the stuff on this album is not new, but it sounds new. It sounds like it's this original idea that he came up with. So the next song that really grabbed me is a song that was released. It was actually released a few weeks ago. It's called Cowboy Boots, and it's got Ashley McBryde on the song. And anybody that knows me, they know that I'm a fan of Dierks Bentley. They know I'm a fan of Eric Church, and they know I love Ashley McBryde. I love her. And when I saw they're doing a song together, oh my God, I was over the moon. And I've been burned by these kind of duets before, where you see two names that you really like, and the song comes out and it's just utter dumpster garbage fire. I listened to like the first the first few, about 30 seconds. I listened to the first 30 seconds, and I heard that it was good, and I bounced out, and I waited until today. And when the song finally came up, it is just solid. It is solid. It's a good traditional country song. Again, one of those songs that I think I will be running into the ground when it comes up in the playlist. When I'm got the Spotify on shuffle, it's gonna be one of those that just absolutely is never a skip, because he sounds good, she sounds great, and it's just a great song overall. So this is Cowboy Boots. God, that song is so good. It's so good. It is such a good song, but we still have two more songs to talk about. And but by the way, after we get to the end of the songs that I'm showing you through these clips of the full songs, depending on what kind of tier you're listening to or where you're listening to it, I'm going to talk just a little bit about the other songs. But I didn't want to put the whole album in, because the album's already almost an hour long, and I didn't want to pad this episode out too long, because I don't know about y'all. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, I'll put this podcast up on all the services, and I say, Doug, listen, we want the whole album. We want it. But for me, most of the time when I see a long podcast, I bounce back out. No Sleep Podcast is the exception. Otis Jiry, that's an exception. And, some kind of funny stuff. Other than that, I see over 30 minutes, and I'm questioning some things. So, if you would prefer for me to do the whole album and another one, I'll even come back and redo this episode again. I'll do a Dierks Bentley Golden Gravel review part 2. I'll do it. I'm not scared. And this is solely my show. I can do what I want. So now we're gonna get back into that same category that we had with Still. The concept of this next song is not new. It's not a new concept, but it just the sound of it. When you listen to it, you'll completely understand. And it's called Old Pickup. It might be called Old Pickup Truck. I don't know. I don't have notes. I'm just gonna sit back and I'm gonna let you guys listen to it. Here it is. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the last song that I'm going to show in this episode. Again, if you want to hear more, just let me know. And maybe for the next episode, I'll make it long. I'll make it a long episode. I'll play the whole album, and nobody can stop me. Unless somebody stops me. Maybe I'm doing this the wrong way, and Spotify's going to come at me with a hammer. Who knows? But I figure if we're going to go out on a song, it's got to be hype, because this is a song. If you listen to Dierks Bentley for any amount of time, you know that the man loves bluegrass. He loves bluegrass. It's actually where I got my love for bluegrass from. You know, the Up on the Ridge album he came out with in 2010, I think 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. And it wasn't just a great Dierks Bentley album to me. It was an album that really opened up my perspective on bluegrass as a genre, and it led me to listening to people like Del McCoury and the Punch Brothers, and the Punch Brothers was Chris Thile, but even Chris Thile's music, and now I'm listening to Billy Strings and Molly Tuttle, and it's just a fantastic genre. If you think you don't like bluegrass, just try it again. Go listen to the Dierks Bentley Up on the Ridge album. I think it's gonna really open some doors for you. But anyway, so this song's called High Note. I think it's got a great premise to the song. It's about the end of the world's coming. This guy's in a bunker. He's got some weed. He's got some music, and he's just gonna go out doing what he loves, just like we all want to do. And Billy Strings is on the song. He sounds fantastic. The instrumentation on the song is, again, fantastic. And it's just if you're not singing this song after it's over, then I just think a little piece of your soul is messed up. Because I listened to the song an hour ago, and I'm still singing it a little bit in my head. So, here it is. Here's High Note, Dierks Bentley, and Billy Strings. Alright, everybody, that was High Note. And that is the last song we're going to be playing on this episode. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, Doug, what was with the little awkward silence at the end of the last little segment before High Intro started playing? Well, I'm going to be the first to tell you that I thought I had hit the button, and I didn't. I didn't hit the stop recording button, so I hit somewhere else on the screen, and I didn't notice until I didn't hear the little telltale beep that the recording had stopped. But yeah, that's what happened there. That's exactly what happened. I made a goof. I'm going to have a lot of goofs because I'm not continuing this train of thought. It's silly. I was just about to call myself a goof. That's 3 goofs, and you can't have 3 goofs. Anyway, so you just heard my top 5 tracks of this album. Again, there are so many other good songs in this album. Sunsets in Colorado, Same Old Me, Heartbreak Drinking Tour, something like this. Those first 2 I know are right. That third one, the Heartbreak Drinking Tour, I'm not 100% sure on. Again, I don't have any notes. 3 fantastic songs. Then you get Still, and then you've got Cold Beer at My Funeral. Great song. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've really vibed with an album this much, and I get that a lot of people aren't gonna think the album's as good as I do, but if you're a country music fan, definitely listen to this album. I can't praise it enough, and I hope he keeps making albums like this, because like I said at the beginning of the show, the last few albums weren't really for me. They had some good songs in there, not really for me, and I was kind of beating this idea back and forth in my head of I don't know why I sound like that, of a review series where I go back and I take an artist, probably with another person. This music review that I'm doing, even episode 0, was it's more of a blog than anything else. More of just me rattling off my thoughts about things. But I think if I'm going to do this review series, I'm going to do it with, somebody else, that really likes what, the band or the artist. Leo and I were actually talking about doing this review series, not necessarily this podcast, but the review series, for a multitude of different things. But one of the ideas we had was, maybe doing like, Avenged Sevenfold review, where we listen to all the albums. Every album is its own episode. We talk about it. We play a few songs off of it, and we rank them. And at the end of it, maybe we do an episode where we just we just have like a greatest hits radio show where we go through all of them. We go through all the greatest songs from the. We pick one from each album and we just run with it. But I'm thinking that doing this for Dierks Bentley might be a good idea because he's got a lot of great albums. Minus his last few. I mean, the last few are good. Just not my favorite. Not my favorite. And I think I'm gonna do that. I think that's what we're gonna do. And with that little idea, vocalized, said out loud, about to be uploaded on podcast services, that's where we're gonna end this episode. Again, just to reiterate what all the little housekeeping details we did at the beginning of the show. We are now available on all podcast platforms. I would really love if you would go and like the Facebook page. It's the Night Ride Home Podcast. You can find it on Facebook pretty easy. We have an email address, Night Ride Podcast. No, hold on. No. Again, I need notes. The Night Ride Home at gmail.com. There's that. There's the Facebook page. You can find both of those pretty easy. If you want to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, that's great too. You just look up my name. Honestly, just look up my name. Yeah, it's Douglas Tuesday. The posts I make on those platforms are going to be on my personal Instagram and Twitter. Again, I did it for Here We Are. We had a Twitter account, we had an Instagram account, but it's not like Facebook. Facebook, I can just double tap a button and I've swapped over. But with Instagram and Twitter, it was always a battle because Twitter and Instagram were always swapping my accounts around. I never knew what was going where were my tweets going? Where were they going? I never knew. So I'm not doing that this time. I'm just going to do the Night Ride Home Podcast Facebook page, which, again, live now. Go like it. And if you can go subscribe, rate it on any podcast app that you're listening to us on. Like I said, I'm pretty sure we're everywhere. Also, like I said earlier, Spotify one would really help us out. Even if you just want to go and if Spotify isn't your podcast reference of choice, just go to episode 0, play it. You don't even have to listen to it. Just set it going. And if we get at least 100 of y'all to do that, then we can start getting those anchor ads, and we can start, really getting the show moving. Lastly, two more things. Again, the one that we aren't on that I know of is Google Podcasts, which we should be on there soon. Again, I'm just waiting on an email for verification on that one. And last but not least, just share it. Just share the page. Get us some circulation going. And, that way, when there's more podcasts, we can do more cool things. I think that's about all I needed to say for this. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you whenever we record another one.